This is Jim Cheevers, our senior curator, probably his favorite item in the museum. This is John Warden's sword presented to him by the state of New York after the Monitor Merrimack battle.
Nobody has any money to fix it.
The sword was on display here at the Academy, not at the museum, but over in Bancroft Hall in the middle section, Memorial Hall. And it was hanging there until 1931, when museum staff was going around doing an inventory, and they found that the sword was gone. And this caused quite a bit of consternation. It was missing for 71, or what is it, some 70-some years until I think it was 2004, or 2001, 2004, when Jim Cheevers got a call from an FBI agent saying, "Are you missing a sword from your collection?" And they had recovered it. Philadelphia Gallery had acquired it and had sold it to somebody. And there was a law that had just been passed. I don't know if any of you have been to Boston to the Isabella Stewart Gardner House or heard of it up there. It's a famous house museum that had one of the largest art thefts in the world, and I think in the U.S. When that happened, they had millions and millions of dollars worth of paintings stolen. The late Senator Kennedy got a law passed saying that whenever a private collector comes into possession of something that was stolen from a museum, he has to give it back to the museum, regardless of whether he paid for it or whatever. He'd be reimbursed, of course, or she would be reimbursed. So thanks to that law, the FBI was able to recover this sword for us. The person who had bought it absolutely innocently, didn't have any idea of the history of it.
The investigation was really funny because the Academy, the equivalent of the NCIS, actually went and investigated a guy in a mining town in California who had flunked out of the Academy because the press was reporting he was waving a sword. They were convinced that was the guy. They actually tracked this to a guy from the class of 32 who left the Academy and lived in New Jersey, and he kept it, and his son kept it for years till it reemerged. And they sort of...
Yeah, we don't know exactly the story, but we're guessing that the guy who was kicked out of the Academy decided to take a souvenir for himself before he left. That's probably how it happened. We don't know for sure, but it seems reasonable. The wheel from USS Hartford is right around the corner here, as well as a slab of the Monitor, which with the anniversaries coming up, I'm sure we're going to have a lot more people coming to see that.
He's about 18 inches high and 30 inches long, and about 1.25 inches thick, it looks like.
And there's a full-scale model of the Monitor down in Hampton.
Oh, in Hampton, okay.
I mean, it's a full size.
We kind of get over into the Spanish-American War over here, which is an important period for us because it was really the first war where the senior leadership in the Navy were mostly Naval Academy graduates now, so we tend to have more personal items from officers involved in that war.
John, you've seen those model cannons?
And since I'm from Saginaw, Michigan,
You've seen those model cannons before? Those are here in this war.
Okay. Training models, yeah.
I happen to like this piece of armor from the USS Baltimore. Punched through with the Spanish shell.
I know you're on what we have.
I just want to make sure you guys see everything. I know it's faster than most people would like, but it's the nature. I'm fearful we're going to be getting a lot more Olympian artifacts pretty soon. Strip things off of that.
Well, now it says it's going to California.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that update.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
Who's did somebody buy it?
How are they going to? They're going to have to pick it up.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody sent out on the company military stories website. There was an article that said someone in California that it looked like it was going to stay in Philadelphia through this year, and then possibly next year. going to be moved to California.
It's interesting. It's much more of a West Coast artifact than it is an East Coast artifact.
Yeah.
It sort of came, you know, its active service was in the Pacific and it was built on the West Coast, so it made no sense. I remember arguing with somebody saying, well, the state of Philadelphia ought to fix it, and I'm like, well, it's not really a state resource.
I remember going on in the 1963 going to California.
Oh yeah, it's
Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. We went and saw it.
There's another level.
It's just such a mismanaged asset. I mean, if you look back,
Yeah, the second.
there was a volunteer group, and some guy had a heart attack and painting and fell inside. His family sued.
They were talking about moving Carrier Kennedy to Portland, Maine. Those people don't have any idea. I spent 2 years, 3 years.
Kind of the centerpiece of the first floor is around the corner here. I want to show you the,
They don't have any concept of what's involved in keeping a ship afloat.
Yeah, it's almost too expensive to do.
This is.
Have to show this.
Yeah.
Wasn't this over in one of the halls for a long time or something? I seem to remember some
It was in Memorial Hall, as I remember.
Memorial Hall, and then they made a replica of it and brought the original back over
We
here.
spent a day just looking at all the digital battle recreations in here. We've got 33 battle recreations.
This is probably the centerpiece, I think, of the first floor, the Don't Give Up the Ship flag. As we were just saying, the original was hanging over Memorial Hall for quite a long time, and then it was eventually replaced with the replica. But it certainly got a lot of wear and tear over there. We wanted to redisplay it here, but as you can see, it needed quite a bit of work. They sent it up to a conservation lab in New York to do some work on it, and the main story with it is that if you look at all the representations and the pictures and paintings of it, it always is a blue flag. The folks at this lab did a chemical test on the fibers of the flag, and the test came back showing that there wasn't any dye in the fibers, and meaning that it probably wasn't colored. The blue patches that you see there are all repair work that was done later on in the 19th century, but the best information we have is that the original color, you see how this sort of this light brown background, that has faded some over time, and the yellowish writing would have been much more closer to white. But the original color is probably closest to, you see this sort of darker brownish pack. It's almost brownish blackish. For what it's worth, not everyone finds that terribly exciting, but just because you see it blue so often, the best information we have is that it wasn't. It was more closer to brown or black. And we've got it now, as close as we can get it now today. But like I said, it's taken such a beating over the years, and we really want to make sure it's displayed correctly, so we control the light levels around it and take much better care of it now.
Second floor.
Well, I got to talk to Jeff, who I don't know who said, but I think we're going to find some people maybe who have a million flowers.